Hello, BG viewers. This is Helena from BG News, and welcome to Meet and Crit. This is a new video series that we're going to be having here on our YouTube channel, and it is an interview series. We're going to be hosting here publishers, designers, and other people from the industry that we believe that make a change and who do stuff that we love. This is our very first episode, and today we have with us Martyn Poole. Martyn is the designer of Robin Hood and the Merry Men. This is a game upcoming on Kickstarter on February 20th. I met Martyn last year at Essen, and he's a very awesome guy. And let's go and see what he has to tell us about his upcoming project with Final Frontier Games. Hello, Martyn.
Hello there.
It's been a long time.
Well, Essen, I think it was last time.
Yeah, it was the first time too, actually, to be honest. So, how have you been till October? Because I know that things have changed in your life since then.
Yeah, a lot. Essen was sort of the start of a career, I suppose, in the board game industry. I went there to help Final Frontier and obviously propose Robin Hood, which was in a very basic stage back then. And we spoke, myself, Final Frontier and Thundergryph Games, we all spoke and spent an evening together. And we've got some plans for some ideas in the board game world, from a PR company to just basically a one-stop solution for everything. For, when people are trying to design a game, they might need help from art direction, they might need help from design problems or play testing. And both of those guys at Thundergryph and Final Frontier have got a huge array of contacts. So we've decided to put it all together and see if we can to help people. At the end of the day, we all love board games, so the idea is to try and get as many board games out there as possible.
How's that working out?
Yeah, it's going really, really well. It should be launching within a month or so. We've got a couple of clients at the moment that we're working with behind the scenes just to make sure that everything is running smoothly and we can do what we promised we can do smoothly. With Thundergryph have just had Spirits of the Forest on Kickstarter, and then obviously lush
and awesome.
Have you seen the new video of the stones that they put out? I think it was yesterday. You've actually got the Aether stones instead of the little. Yeah, they look so good. The production quality.
I know. I mean, they looked good from the pictures, but the video is like, God.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, Gonzalo's production quality is amazing. And then obviously we've got Robin Hood, which is coming up on the 21st. So that's my first foray into board game design. So we released the launch date a couple of days ago, and it's just blown up everywhere. I can't believe how much hype that it's getting. Everywhere you look, it's Robin Hood, Robin Hood, Robin Hood, and I'm quite surprised and taken back by how much that it's being welcomed. But at the same time, I know that it is a good game. It looks good as well. So it's going to be interesting.
Why are you surprised? I mean, to me, well, I'm not in your shoes, of course, but I look at it from a different angle. But to me, you are one of those designers who help in building the hype of their game so much. You have been very, very active in social media, engaging with people, discussing, promoting the game, showing pictures, sharing insights about how that happened. So why are you surprised?
I think it's because it happened in such a short period of time. So in October, when we first met, I was just somebody helping out. I had no dreams. At the end of Essen, I had to go back to working 9 till 5, and it makes you realise it's a hobby that you love, but you never think that you'd work there full time. You don't know how you would pay the bills because you have no general idea of how to make it in the industry. And then from that day to a week later, straight after Essen, being offered a full-time job helping with this, and then Robin Hood coming to market as well, it's just snowballed so quickly that I don't think that my mind's actually caught up with what's happened. I wake up every morning, turn my laptop on, first thing I do, get a cup of coffee, answer loads of emails. I've stepped back from the reviews now. I don't do any reviews. I still have a central role in board game exposure, but I think it's very important to be non-biased. So because I'm helping people and because I'm in the design, if I started, from a personal point of view, I can still say if I like a game or I don't like a game or what I like about it, but I can't give an opinion and say I think you should back it because this and this, because I've got a lot of industry friends now, and I just think that everything's just changed and turned on its head.
Well, I bet you're not working 9 to 5 now, are you?
Oh, no. Anybody listening out there, if you think that the board game industry is one, it's completely different from playing games. You don't get a chance to play as many games. True. You miss out on Kickstarters that you want to back because you've got 1,001 things to do. It's completely different, but saying that, it's still very, very enjoyable.
How do you feel? Do you kind of miss the old life where you had lots of, more spare time than you have now, and you would play any game that you actually felt like playing, and you would review and you would watch Kickstarter and back? Do you miss that?
No, I think you would know, and some of the people in my group will know, that when you review a game, you don't play it for fun.
Oh, trust me, I know that.
and sometimes when you're doing 2 or 3 games a week, and I don't know how many times you play them, but we played them a minimum of 3 times before we did a review. So you play a game 3 times and you're not having fun with it. You're just playing it from the rule book to see if it works mechanically, to see if there is interaction between the players, and you're not doing it as a board game fan, you're doing it as a critic, and it's completely different. So now, on the rare occasions that I do get to play a game, it's for fun. So I enjoy playing games more now than I did then. But then on the flip side, because I've started design, I look at some of the things and I either think, I'd like to use that, or why did they do that? They should have done this. So yeah, it's changed, but it's still the same.
It's mind-boggling, isn't it? Because things like pop in your head when they wouldn't pop otherwise, right?
Yes, yeah, definitely.
Okay, so coming now down to Robin Hood and the Merry Men, this is the first game that you have designed. How did that, come into your head? Did you just wake up a morning and say, hey, let's design a game?
It was after playing Lords of Waterdeep, Stone Age, and Champions of Midgard. Okay. So they were very prominent in my mind at the time, and I love Robin Hood, always have done since growing up. So I was like, let's search on BGG and see what decent Robin Hood games are out there. And the best ranked one is Sheriff of Nottingham, which is it's a good game, what it does, but it doesn't feel thematic to me. Mm-hmm. So I was speaking to Tony from Final Frontier at the time. Mm-hmm. I just reviewed Cavern Tavern, and I did an interview with them about Rise to Nobility about a week before the Kickstarter was starting. Mm-hmm. I actually remember him telling me that he hopes Rise to Nobility does as much as Cavern Tavern did, and then obviously that did absolutely fantastic, and I think it did 380,000, and he was like, he couldn't cope, and it was quite funny. But we were just speaking in general, and I told him of the ideas and that I had some mechanics, and this is the turn order, and we went through it on paper, and he was like, well, once the campaign's over, we'll do a prototype and we'll work on it together. So me and Tony did that for about 2, 3, maybe 4 months. I don't think he'd spoke to the other guys. He was, as far as I know, he was just helping me out. And then once we had it and it worked, and it just needed refining, he literally said, I've told the other guys and we're going to offer you a contract. And then a week later I had a contract in my inbox, and he was like, there you go, welcome to the team. So I was like, okay, thank you. So I I'm confident in my ability, but I'm not overconfident. I would have been able to get the game to the stage that it is at the moment, but it would have probably taken me 5 years. It's one of them. The insight and the knowledge and the experience that they've got has helped me loads, and it's more than just getting an idea in your head, putting it down on paper, and then seeing that it works. It's sometimes taking a step back from the design and creating a whole different mechanic that you know will work, and then trying to incorporate that into your main design. Because I think if you just keep adding and adding and adding and adding, it becomes too convoluted and you lose your initial idea. And that's how they make their games so thematic. I don't know whether you've played Cabin Tavern or Rise to Nobility, but
I've played Cabin Tavern, and enjoyed it way too much.
I really do enjoy it. I tell the guys that it is a good game for their first Kickstarter. That they've done the production quality and the art and everything on it is fantastic. The play time is a little bit too much for me at the higher player counts, and I think they're going to be bringing out an expansion for it to actually combat that, so that'll be interesting. So the way they make their games so thematic is by having that basic idea and then building around that, but then before it becomes too watered down, they strip back and then build again. So it's like you're building the layers on top of it, and then at least then you've still got your core idea as the main mechanic. So for example, in Robin Hood, we want to give you the feel of being one of the outlaws with his own band of merry men. So you get the big meeples that you've seen, you get one of them each, and then you get 3 active merry men. So you've got your worker placement phase where you place your merry men, collect your resources, build traps and barricades, which then go onto the board. Then you draw a card, which is the sheriff card, and that tells you on the roads where the carriage is going to come in, where the guards go because they've heard rumours that Robin Hood or the heroes are there, and where the sheriff is going. And then what happens is you fight the guards, fight the sheriff and fight the carriages with the hero. So it's like 2 separate phases but within a worker placement. And then we've added a bit of a less Euro element to it, which is the dice rolling for combat. So it's a complete mashup of Euro and Ameritrash. So you've got that look element in there, but it's sort of, I think it works well. The feedback that we've had from some of the reviewers is that it works well. So I'm looking forward to seeing some of the reviews once they've done it, and they can, or the previews, and they can tell us what they think of it and tell you guys what they think of it. But from play tests and stuff like that, it's been very, very, very positive.
So having spoken to other designers, I have the feeling that all of you share the same frustration, let's say, that you might fall into the rabbit hole of adding layers, and then you won't be able to streamline the thing. So have you fallen into that rabbit hole? And if yes, was it easy to start chopping off things?
We haven't chopped anything off, but we changed something, then changed it back, and then changed it back again. So because Final Frontier's last 2 games were very Euro-y, with dice mitigation, they wanted to keep that feel. But I personally feel, and they agreed with me, that Robin Hood needs some look element to be thematic, because especially when the guards are being bought out and the sheriff is being bought out, if you knew where that was happening 100% of the time, then there wouldn't be any sort of surprising moment. And that's because it's semi-co-op. That's where all the interaction between the players come. It's highly interactive, so you can work together, you don't have to, you can have a conversation about what you're going to do, and that's all because your plans change from one turn to the next. And we didn't have that because we had the dice as cards, and it just felt like you were just turning cards over for the sake of turning cards over, and you didn't have that highly energetic sort of, oh no, I've been captured, my merry men's now in jail, will the player across the table come and rescue me? They get extra victory points for it, or will I rescue myself? But then that means that I can't do what I wanted to. So it's one of them games where you've got to think on the fly. So yeah, we we changed it back to cards, and then we changed it back to dice. And I've always been more fond of the dice.
Dice rolling does have an element of fun in it. I admit I like it more than flipping cards.
yeah. Hopefully, people that look at the Kickstarter will see that it's not, it's not a massive Euro game, and it has got a luck element in there, but it feels thematic and it fits the. It just all mashes together perfectly, in my opinion. That you can get it out, the kids can play it with you, and you can just have a good time. I'm a fan of Euro games, heavy Euro games. I play a lot of GMT games, which are highly 2-3 hours of just pushing a cube round, and I enjoy that. But sometimes you just want a game that you can just get out and have a bit of fun with.
So, for the past months, you've been into the situation of designing a game and undergoing all the fuss of also preparing for a Kickstarter campaign. Yeah. And I haven't done any design, but I have gone through the fuss of preparing a Kickstarter campaign, and I know that this can be hectic alone. So how do you juggle between those two?
Quite difficult, but I'm quite lucky that Final Frontier are a big team. There's 4 of them, so they share all the jobs between them. I'm flying out to Macedonia on the 20th, so a day before the Kickstarter, and then I'm going to be there for the first 10 days of the campaign. So it's nerve-wracking. I don't know what to expect. The last 7 days, right up until the day that I come back into the UK, I know are going to be the worst that I've experienced in this industry, for terms of not knowing, terms of being busy, and just the unexpected. I don't know. I'm not a fan of the unexpected. I like to know what's going to happen. I'm a very organised person, and I think that you can't do that with Kickstarter. I helped Gonzalo with Spirits of the Forest by answering emails because he had his Kickstarter and he was also fulfilling Tai Long at the same time. Yeah. I was getting 200 emails a day almost, that you just have to wade yourself through the emails and try and help everybody. And I was one of those, I shouldn't really say this, but I was one of those backers that was maybe a little bit entitled and maybe was commenting on Kickstarters like, why don't you do this and why don't you do that, and I don't like this and I don't like that, and speaking to them, not in an aggressive way and not in a demanding way, but I look back at some of the comments and I think the creator of this must have thought, will you just be quiet, because you're so busy. And rightly so, that people that are giving you money are giving you advice, and they're giving you what they want to see from the game. And some of the best campaigns actually take on board what some of the backers say. But some of the things that I said personally was not said with enough knowledge of what it is to create a Kickstarter campaign. Asking for updates on the smallest thing, asking for every comment to be responded to, and why haven't you answered me? And it's easy to be sat here now writing that, but if you think you've got a campaign with 1,000 or 2,000, 3,000, some, Nemesis just got 30,000 backers. If you've got 30,000,
I really don't want to know what they're going through.
Yes, exactly. I really like Martyn. I get on with Martyn. I talk with Martyn Spearcott quite a lot, and I feel sorry for him. I said
in a good way, though, right?
Yeah. I said it's a good problem to have. Don't get me wrong, but I think as a backer, and I'm not saying this as a designer, but from a point of view, I think sometimes we need to be a little bit more forgiving and know that it's not like you're buying from a shop and you need your answer there and then. Yeah. There's a lot of variables that can happen. Sometimes you give an idea and then you have to go to the manufacturer to see if that idea can actually be implemented and how much it's going to cost. Then you have to work out how you're going to do it, and then you have to get back to the backer. So rather than just demand an answer straight away, there's a lot of things that we as backers don't understand.
True. Very true. And sad at the same time. I've been both sides of the table as well, so I kind of understand what you're talking about.
Yeah, hindsight's a beautiful thing, isn't it?
So, back in your work as a designer, um, having had all that journey and being like very few days away from hitting the launch button for your baby, for your campaign to go up there, if you had three advice to give to all these aspiring designers who hope one day to see their game on Kickstarter, what would those be?
The first one is don't treat it as your baby. As much as you just said, oh, it's your baby, don't treat it as your baby, because you'll hang on to too much of it, and you will dismiss too much advice. There's been a lot of times where I've wanted to say no, no, and no to Final Frontier, and I will hold my hands up and admit I haven't had to say that. We've all been treated as an equal, but the game's advanced at a smoother stage because of that, because you're throwing ideas in together and you're weeding out the bad ideas. Now, if you hold on to it as your baby and this is how it must be before it goes to Kickstarter, more often than not, the game that you've designed is for yourself, and you're not designing a game for yourself, you're designing a game for your target audience. So yeah, number one advice would be not to treat it as your baby, but to treat it as a product that you want people to enjoy. Number two would be build an audience. Now, I've been quite lucky because I've got board game exposure, which has given me that elevation of audience, but I never had a plan to design a game with board game exposure. I had a plan to be a reviewer and do that, but luckily I've built that audience. But there's no difference. The way to build an audience is engage with them, give them something that they can answer and throw questions backwards and forwards, and that is so important. Even if your game isn't the best game in the world, even if your art isn't that good, have a look, show it to people and have a look at what they say and take that feedback on, because a lot of people out there that will help shape your game will be because they want to buy it and they believe in it. So if they're helping you shape it for them, then you're already taking it from a game for you, for a game for an audience. And then the third bit of advice would be, it's a cliche and it's something that Jamie Stegmaier has said time and time again, and it's something that I've probably just thrown to the back of my mind, but it's you don't have to launch tomorrow. Take your time, make sure that your product is as good as it can be, and once you're at that stage, test and get people to see it, go to conventions, and it's a culmination of all three of those that will get you to the stage where I am. I still haven't funded. Things could still happen, but like I said at the start of the conversation, I'm surprised at how positive the reaction's been, and I do think that's from building the audience, getting the product to a state where people are excited for it because it's what people want, not what I want. So yeah, all three of those together will get you to the best possible situation. But a bit of a bonus bit of advice is, even if you take a game to Kickstarter and you don't fund, it doesn't mean it's the end of the line, because you can still take that game away and change it, and it doesn't mean that the game is no good. There's one called Get Off My Land that was on Kickstarter last year. She was on the same time as Rise to Nobility and Gloomhaven. She failed the first time. We spoke. One of the other reviewers in Board Game Exposure spoke to her. We gave her a bit of advice. She came back and she did absolutely fantastic for a first-time indie developer. So yeah, it was a bonus bit. If you do fail, it's not the end of the world. Keep your chin up and just carry on what you're doing, as long as you're doing as much as you can.
So, okay, dreadful scenario. I know you're not going to like it, but suppose that you sleep tonight, you wake up tomorrow, and you get a phone call from Final Frontier saying, you know what? There is a huge issue over here with Robin Hood and the Merry Men. We cannot hit the launch button on the 21st.
Yeah.
What would be your initial thought? What would you do? How would you handle it?
You'd handle it the best you can, but fortunately, as they're not a first-time publisher, they've already done their due diligence, and they've got it into a state where if anything wasn't working on the game, even though we know it is because we've done all the testing, then what we could do is it would be fixable before the Kickstarter launch. We've done all that before. The situation that you're creating there is for somebody that is a first-time creator, that they've had their friends test it, but they've done no blind testing, and they think that it works. They get the date, they get excited because it's on Kickstarter, and then someone gets a review copy and they play it, and there's a massive problem with the game. It's broken. Yeah. The worst thing is if you get told that a game's broken. Now I've been sent games as a reviewer, and they have been broken, and I think there's a difference between a game being broken and a game having elements that need balancing, if that makes sense. Yeah. And I know a lot of games out there that do balancing and further play testing after the Kickstarter. I think every game does that. When a game is on Kickstarter, it doesn't mean that it's 99% final and that's what you're going to get. There will be little changes, and if you do a print and play straight after the Kickstarter, your backers will play it. They've already invested in it. They're excited by it, and they will send you messages saying, "Oh, why don't you try this and why don't you try that?" No game is final, even when it's funded, until you've pressed the send button to the manufacturer. And I think that's the brilliant thing with Kickstarter.
So, what's your favorite thing about Robin Hood and the Merry Men?
For me, how thematic it feels. Now, every reviewer said that it, even just from reading the rules that I sent them, they've loved how we've incorporated the lore of Robin Hood into the game. So everything that you do has that sort of band of merry men feel, that you can work together, but at the same time you're having little digs at each other and you're having a joke and a laugh with each other because you want to be the one that scores the most victory points at the end of the game. Being semi-co-op, you can lose the game completely if you don't work together. However, you've actually got hidden scoring, so you've got set collection and you've got secret mission cards as well. So nobody purposely wants to lose the game because you don't know whether you're winning or not. So you've got that sort of, am I winning, am I not winning? And yeah, to me it's just the whole theme of it that makes you feel that you are part of that.
Are you going to do something like, since you're going to be in Macedonia for the launch of the campaign, right? Are you going to host like a Facebook event, maybe do a live stream or something like that? I know that you like doing like, fun stuff and crazy stuff in such terms. So has something like that crossed your mind?
I think the guys from Macedonia, they're probably going to kill me for saying this. I think they're quite camera shy. But I'll take my camera along and I'll see what I can do. I know we've got a few plans for some really good stretch goals. The solo stretch goal will surprise quite a few people. There's a couple that if you
it's not going to be a surprise anymore. You just said it over there.
No, there's something within the solo that will be surprising. Yeah, the actual solo won't be a surprise, but because we've announced that, but what the solo will be will surprise a lot of people. We've got a few stretch goals that you get quite often now without saying too much, but I just think the whole overall way that Final Frontier do a Kickstarter campaign is they're always in the comments section, they're involving the backers, and it's always a fun experience. So to be honest, I'm looking forward to being part of that. So they've invited me over and we'll just go over and we'll see what it's like, but I'll try and get them on camera and I'll try and do a couple of, I know Kickstarter Live is quite a big thing now. Again, Nemesis made quite a big thing of doing the Kickstarter Live. So maybe I can get them to do that, but if not, maybe it'll just be me again on the camera just going, "Hey, I'm in Macedonia." Who knows?
Well, I hope you have fun over there and that you actually enjoy all this very complicated situation that you're going to be in during the launch of the campaign.
I like the way you're laughing because you know how difficult it's going to be.
I know. Well, I'm sure that you're going to have fun in the end, and that you're going to be laughing like after you press the send button to the manufacturers, as you said. I know
Yeah.
that it's going to be a bit frustrating for the first week. And I'm sure that you're going to have tons of coffee and work it through.
Yeah, coffee, whiskey, beer, anything like that. It's fine.
We'll have you sober when commenting and when answering those emails, so just don't overdo it.
Yeah, we'll take it in turns. Like I can drink on the Monday, they can drink on the Tuesday. It's
Okay,
fine.
fair enough. So people don't comment on Mondays if you want Martyn to like answer back to you. Keep that in mind. Is there anything else you'd like to share about your upcoming campaign?
No. I think I've covered everything. If anybody does want any advice, maybe I'm still relatively new, but I can help out as much as possible. So if anyone wanted to join my group, Board Game Exposure, and come and show us what games you've made, and the group's all about getting as many games on as people's tables as possible. It's not all just about me, and I know it has been probably for the last month or two, but I still try to be fair. I've got a banner that people can use. I'm not even using that for my own campaign. I'm letting other people use it because, as a fan of the hobby, like I said, I just want as many games made as possible, and I think Kickstarter's a brilliant platform for that.
It is indeed. Thanks very much for being here and for giving us all this insight about Robin Hood and the Merry Men. Best of luck with the campaign.
Thank you very much.
And I hope you enjoy all this process that you're going to be in.
Yeah, enjoy is probably a word that I wouldn't use at the moment, but ask me in a month or two.
Okay, we'll catch up in a month or two and see how that went.
Yeah.
Thank you. So that was it. That's what Martyn and I discussed. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you would like to continue watching our series, Meet and Crit, don't forget to subscribe. And if you liked what we talked about, don't forget to like this video and comment. Until next time.